Alright, y'all know what time it is. Time to get digital with Don. Today, we drawing Cousin Leaf, Leaf Live, also known as Leafy Green 420 on IG. Follow that man. So you can see what's really popping in Ghost Town. See some originals from out there moving around how they move. That's where I'm from. For those of you who don't know, born in EO, but I was raised in Irvington. Came of age in Elizabeth, and then graduated from New Jersey, from Newark, you know what I'm saying, which is also where I started. I was born in EO, but took my first steps Smith Street in Newark. That's besides the point. We in here already laying it out. I don't know if you saw how quick everything went down, but my areas of blackness are extremely limited in this particular illustration, and I think that's why I picked it, so that I can demonstrate like how you should not be using a lot of black to create your lines. You know, only use your black to define areas of blackness. Don't use them as outlines, because then it turns into a comic strip and it doesn't feel the way you intended for it to feel at the end. If that's what you want, then go for it. But be sparing. That's my go-to term when it comes down to using black lines and illustrations. This particular project has a lot of reddish pink, grays, and flesh in like 5 different spots, but the lighting isn't super dramatic. So we don't get a lot of highlights, we don't get a lot of speculars on the flesh, we don't have a lot of light points on the shirt or the garments in general. I mean, I can admit that I did not put all of the highlights on the sneakers, which are leather and catch light different than fabric, but I think what I came out with, I'm gonna go ahead and be confident for a second, because you need that. I'm confident that the end product is worth looking at. It's definitely worth watching a 6-minute video on to see me do it real quick. I mean, it took 3 hours and 29 layers, but it was worth it. Each one of them is worth it, and the beauty of it is it's all vector. So if I wake up a year from now, 300 projects from now, several thousand hours of using the pen tool from now, I can apply everything that I learned and all the evolution of all my skills to go back and re-engineering an illustration that I did when I was less experienced. And I've done this several times, specifically for Dick Gregory. I drew Dick Gregory before he passed, and then once again after he passed, to show the progression and where I was initially, and where I ended up at. And since that time, I think I've put in maybe 1,000+ hours with the pen tool, as well as other tools. Like I use the pen tool, the brush tool, the pencil tool religiously. In this particular illustration, you're going to see me use a perspective tool to create the emblem on the hat, and the perspective tool to create the emblem, not even create, but to manipulate the emblems to be more convincing on the hat and on the sneakers. I mentioned that not to toot horns per se, but just to let you know, all of those tools on the left-hand side actually have a purpose, and you should figure out what they're used for. And that's going to be a recurring sentiment from me, because we often only explore what we're comfortable with. And, existing inside your comfort zone and nowhere else is not really the path of discovery. If you're not discovering anything, you're not really growing. You're just kind of walking in a big circle, And as much as I love loops, because if you listen to the background, you hear like music I produce, because I don't have to get licensing for it. But it's primarily looped up, So I understand the purpose of a loop, but in regards to using tools and progressing on your skill set and broadening your abilities, you really should deal with discovery and challenge yourself regularly. So there are some things I see like, oh yeah, that'd be really easy to draw. And there are other things like this where it's like, yeah, it's going to be challenging to actually catch a lot of this this information here and to make it convincing. Um, and over time, you just develop those skills to sit here and tweak and bend and manipulate until you can get what you want. In this particular image, I did a lot of interpretation. Like those shadows are not on that hat. The highlight is not on that hat. Here you can see me going in and replacing the logo that was there with my logo from Stolen Outfitters. A little shameless plug, the least I could do for myself here. And you see me going in and creating the dimensions just by adding two layers of shading and adjusting the opacity between them so that I can get into some highlights to represent the threads. I went from a white to a gray and then made the stroke white to go over the top to create threads. You can see me use the perspective tool again to create those images or to manipulate the images that went on the side of sneakers. And now we're on the exit. Gradient background, gradient mesh to put a light point at the top. Last minute highlights, last minute branding on the tongue. Gotta get to the signature. And we are out. Till next time, getting digital with Don. Peace.